From Cuba, the high-level delegation of the Colombian peace talks recognized the interlocution of the ELN delegation and activated protocols for the resumption of the talks in Havana. In Paraguay, Vice President Hugo Velazquez announced his resignation after being accused by the US of alleged corruption. Europe is facing an unprecedented drought due to the heat that has caused large wildfires in several countries in the region. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Cuba, the high-level delegation for the peace talks in Colombia recognized the intervention of the ELN delegation and activated protocols for the resumption of the talks in Havana. In this regard, the director of the Inter-Ecclesiastic Commission for Justice and Peace, Danilo Rueda, announced that the government recognized the legitimacy of the delegation of Dialogues for the National Liberation Army, ELN, in the search for peace. Both parties emphasized that the resumption of negotiations seeks to demonstrate the willingness of Bogota and the ELN to seek a sustainable peace. In this sense, Rueda asserted that the Colombian government will adopt all political measures to guarantee the necessary conditions to restore the contact.
This government officially announces that it recognizes the legitimacy of the dialogue delegation of the National Liberation Army, ELN, in the search for peace. Consequently, the government of Colombia will adopt all political and legal measures within the framework of domestic and international law to guarantee the conditions that will permit the resumption of talks with the ELN, including the recognition of the protocols.
In Mexico, civil protection authorities announced that conditions are now ready to begin the rescue of 10 workers trapped in a mine in the state of Coahuila. The national coordinator of the organization, Laura Velasquez, explained that the water extraction process has advanced by 97%, which allows rescuers to safely enter the site. The operation has mobilized some 700 civilians and military personnel, who, in addition to draining the fluids, have been working on the excavation of 2 alternative access in case they are needed. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said that the team in charge of the rescue will continue to evacuate water retaining in the wells to avoid new accidents.
The flooding of the wells, we proceeded from the beginning because that was what the experts advised, to remove the water, to extract all the water. And we have pumps that are extracting an average of up to 300 liters per second. But the wells had a water depth 30 meters approximately. So they have been lowering the water level.
A day of violence in the Mexican city of Ciudad Juárez on Thursday left at least 11 people dead. According to the Subsecretary of Public Safety, Ricardo Mejia, the violence was unleashed by a group of criminals against citizens and commercial premises. The event was caused after a confrontation in the Cerezo 3 prison when rival groups attack each other. The authorities detailed that as a result of the situation, members of criminal groups went out to the streets, created disturbances and aggressions against civilians while setting fire to commercial establishments and cars. President López Obrador repudiates the event.
The civilian and innocent population was attacked.
como una especie de
It's a kind of
represalia.
reprisal.
No fue solo
It's not only the confrontation between two groups, but the moment came when they started shooting at civilians.
A disparar a civiles, a gente
Innocent
inocente.
people.
Entonces, esto es
Most
lo más
regrettable aspect of
lamentable
this situation.
de este asunto.
After 409 days since the former Attorney General Jean Leon Rodrguez was detained at the Attorney General's office in what was the first public action regarding the Operation Medusa, the case was presented before a court to decide about the quality of the investigation against him. The hearing, led by Judge Amuri Martinez of the Third Investigating Court of the National District, was held at the room of the Court of Civil and Commercial Appeal, since the case of Vala had more than 60 defendants and more than 12,000 pages. The former attorney appeared as the main defendant and is accused on charges of fraud against the state, forgery of documents, money laundering, and bribes to government officials. Peruvian Public Prosecutor's Office announced the beginning of a new preliminary investigation against President Pedro Castillo for the alleged crime against the public peace. The Public Prosecutor's Office stated that the investigation focuses on the works allocated in the provinces of Chota and Hacatombo. Meanwhile, the Attorney General, Patricia Benavides, affirmed her office was not involved in any political plan against the president. Likewise, President Castillo announced that while the Congress presented a report to disqualify him, the Public Prosecutor's Office was making a tourist show on writing his residences, for which he assured that it was evident the conspiracy of both entities to destabilize the democratic order in the nation. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. In Paraguay, Vice President Hugo Velazquez announced his resignation after being accused by the U.S. of alleged corruption. Velasquez informed through a radio program that in addition to his position in the executive branch, he is also resigning his aspiration to participate in the presidential race next year in order to facilitate the investigations of the case. The news comes shortly after the U.S. ambassador in Paraguay announced that the official was sanctioned by Washington under allegations of corruption. The State Department also sanctioned members of Velasquez's immediate family, and in previous days, the former president Horacio Cartes also for corruption allegations. The Argentina government gave 48 hours to pharmaceutical laboratories to correct prices according to the after the 7.4% inflation figures for July. The Secretary of Commerce, Matias Tambolini, stated that the business sectors is to complying with the price agreements with emphasis on the laboratories. He detailed that on July the 9th, the government signed a price agreement with the pharmaceutical sector of 60 days, which establishes a maximum increase for medicines of up to 1 percentage point below the consumer prices index, so that between July and August, the increases could not exceed 11% of the prices. In the United States, a survey revealed that 75% of the people say they are not happy with the current situation of the country. The results of the new poll have indicated that a majority of the inhabitants have rated their country's economy negatively at a time when there is no signs of economic recovery. Only 42% of those polled consider the management of U.S. President Joe Biden to be good, while 58% disapprove of the president's performance. The data also indicates that 56% of Democrats have also joined those who are dissatisfied with the current situation. California announced a new water strategy to adapt hotter, drier conditions caused by climate change, as officials believe extreme weather could emissions water supply by up to 10% by 2040 in the most populous cities in the U.S. To replace and replenish what the southwestern U.S. state will lose to restore soil, vegetation, and the atmosphere. The California Governor Gavin Newsom evaluated actions to increase water supplies and adapt to more extreme weather patterns. The actions call for investigating new sources of water supplies, accelerating projects, and moderating how the state manages water through new technology. Droughts in the U.S. West have water levels in many major lakes to drop dramatically. The military forces of Indonesia, Australia, and US are participating this Friday in a live fire drill in waters of the Indonesian island of Sumatra in tensions with China. More than 5,000 military officials from those countries joined contingents from Japan and Singapore for maneuvers in exercises that will feature the use of lethal weapons and munitions. The drill comes after China completed its air and group exercises around the Taiwan Strait in response to the visit of U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi to the island. Meanwhile, Indonesian authorities say that they are seeking to send a message that they are prepared for any hiding tension in conflict in the South China Sea area. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi warned that the situation with Taiwan will not end well. The diplomat assured that the United States will use instability to intensify the crisis. At an open statement, the foreign minister recalled that it is not his country's responsibility that the status quo in the Taiwan Strait is changing. He stated that Washington's political provocations generated tensions and ratified that the situation has not yet calmed down. Beijing remains on alert because it believes that the United States will try to increase its military presence in the region. The head of China's diplomacy also urged politicians in other countries not to support the secessionist intention as they contribute to undermine the foundation of relations with China. Supporters of Iraq's powerful Shiite Muslim leader Qutb Sard performed Friday prayers outside the parliament building in the green zone of the capital, Baghdad. Sard followers continued to protest against the nomination of rival Shiite factions for the position of prime minister. Most were dressed in black to mark the Muslim month of Muharram. Some wore white capes, symboling rural sworn-ins and their willingness to die for their cause. The protesters have occupied the Iraqi parliament since July after the 10-month political settlements that followed elections last October. Sard withdrew his lawmakers from parliament and is now preventing the chamber from electing a new government and is demanding early elections. And we have more news coming up after this financial break, so don't go away. Welcome back. Europe faces an unprecedented drought crisis as a result of the extreme heat that have caused a massive forest fire in several countries in the region. According to the European Drought Observatory, the latest common indicator map shows that 47% of territory of the European Union is under warning, while 17% is under alert. Experts from the observatory have pointed out that the current drought could become the worst ecological crisis in the last 500 years. They said that the extreme heat was not only caused massive forest fires, but also a lack of water, which threatens to disturb rivers, transports, and water surveyors. Efforts continue in France to fight for fighters which have burned more than 6,000 hectares in southeastern in the country. According to officials reported, nearly 1,100 firefighters are still working to put out fires with the help of extinguishing forces from Germany, Poland, Austria, and Romania with the use of several European Union air tankers. According to the French government, the outbreaks remain active this Friday in the departments of Corona in the lands where at least 10,000 people have been evacuated, some for the second time this summer. According to the Ministry of Environment, a total of more than 40,000 hectares have burned this year. In the same context, in Spain, at least 170,000 hectares have been burned so far in 2022 as a result of some 43 major fires that have been recorded in the last decades, especially affecting Galicia, Extremadura, Castilla-La Mancha, and Castilla y León. According to data supplied by the autonomous communities to the Ministry of Ecology, from January the 1st to August the 7th, the fire devastated forest area affecting 51% of the northwestern territory and 36% of inland communities. The rescue ship Sea Watch 4, belonging to the German non-governmental organization Sea Watch, has been authorized to dock with almost 90 asylum seekers on board on the island of Sicily in southern Italy. Italian authorities communicated the permission of the crew a few hours ago. The ship rescued 90 migrants a week ago in the central Mediterranean area under the responsibility of the Maltese authorities, who denies the rescued to that injured ports. So the rescue ship was forced to head from Italy, and after several days of wait, it is sailing into the Italian port where it is expected to dock this Friday. As vote counting continues in Kenya, TV stations have stopped broadcasting estimates of Tuesday's elections results. The data after the polls, Kenyan television stations began broadcasting partial fluctuations and sometimes contradictory results based on their own counts. The estimate suggests a scenario of a tight race between two of the four presidential candidates, Raila Odinga and William Ruto, the outgoing vice president. The Independent Electoral Commission is due to announce the final results by August 16th, which will determine the successor of Uhuru Kenyatta, who has been in power since 2013. The Commission is under pressure this year after the Supreme Court annulled the last presidential elections in 2017 for irregularities. Ethiopia said on Friday it has completed a third filling of its mega dam in the Blue Nile, a development that could raise further tensions with downstream neighbors Egypt and Sudan. The announcement comes a day after Ethiopia said it had launched electricity production from the second turbine at the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam west of the country. The massive $4.2 billion dam, said to be the largest hydroelectric project in Africa, has been at the center of the regional dispute ever since Ethiopia broke ground of the project in 2011. There is still no agreement between Ethiopia and its downstream neighbors Egypt and Sudan about the dam's operations, despite talks held under the auspices of the African Union.
Today, in this location, it is with great joy that I announce that the third round of filling of the dam is complete. Compared to last year, when the water level was at 575 meters, we have reached 600 meters, which is 25 meters higher than the previous filling of the dam.
teleSUR English continues to grow. The still now reaches Europe, and you can order it from your cable dealer or tune it yourself. These parameters that you see on the screen are in place since July 1st and quite soon for the changes will be implemented for the signal in the Middle East and Africa. Now more than ever, the world connected to us and our stories are being heard all around the globe. This news multi-platform will continue providing trustful content to oppose the Yemeni's media's narrative on our faithfulness to our audience. Oh, that's all. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. Telesur English from the South, I'm Ana Marrero, and thank you for watching.